What's up, y'all? It's been a minute since I've sat behind the mic. I've moved across the country and making videos hasn't exactly been a high priority of mine, but I saw this cool thread that meant Blitz, that guy that posts those incredibly cool Halo clips. He posted this thread asking, how will Halo Infinite end? And I wanted to go through some of the comments, some of the funny stuff, and some of the more serious things while I sort of give my take on where I think the series should go. Ultimately, I think we are going to be disappointed because 343 hasn't written a good Halo game yet. Arguably, Halo 4 was pretty good. It's grown on me over the years, but Halo 5 was a total mess, and I don't really have high hopes, especially knowing that they're going to try to pull this live service nonsense and keep milking Halo for 10 years, giving us DLCs like every 6 months or so, probably. So not excited for that, but we can only hope. So enjoy. Tadpole comes to us with a pretty simple one, hopefully with the most insane Warthog run we have ever experienced. I would love that. Halo CE and Halo 3 set a trend for us, and we've been waiting for a sick Warthog run ever since. Braden Leyland comes in. Chief falls down a 4-runner chasm, and it cuts to black.
This is not your grave, but you are welcome in it.
White Snake hits us with a fat meme. Chief survives, finds himself in a cave, and finds Noble Six and Johnson eating beans and watching Cars 2. Chief, what are you doing?
Sir, finishing this fight.
Chief makes the sacrifice play and takes out the big bad, finishing his story. You'll see a lot of comments like this where Chief is going to make the sacrifice play, and I'll talk about that at the end. Richie says, Master Chief kills the final boss, only to hear,
Warning, the Slayer has entered the facility.
Chief and Escharum talk it out because they're too old for this shit, and Brohammer comes in and kills Escharum as he's distracted. Then they go home and play Lego Star Wars. Also, 343 said that this brute's name, who I continue to butcher, is pronounced Escharum. I don't know how they got that, given that C-H-A-R is Shar, not sure, but whatever. Escharum, I don't care. 343 apologizes for making the worst decision at every possible moment as the other side of the Halo ring crashes into their office. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd like to see that a lot. Master Chief eats Locke's heart as Arbiter hits Cortana from the back, and Johnson and Guilty Spark watch. that better be the legendary ending, with Master Chief singing an emotional song about friendship. Aww. Chief watches the Lord of the Rings extended trilogy and falls asleep somewhere around hour 7. Me too, Chief. Chief's like what? Like, I don't know, 50 plus? Shit, he probably wouldn't make it past hour 4. Even being genetically enhanced. Here's a pretty realistic one for you. After 5 hours of playing as Spartan Locke and 20 minutes of Master Chief, the game ends on a cliffhanger where the gameplay reveal showcase ends. Not with Cortana, but with that cutscene of the random brute. After 48 minutes of unskippable credits, the screen will say, Master Chief will return in Halo, Infinity, and beyond. Yeah, fuck you, 343. Halo 5 was trash. Noble Six crawls out of his cave and smokes a doobie with Master Chief. This is actually a serious theory. At the halfway point of the campaign, Chief reunites with Cortana and learns Cortana did what she did in order to keep an even greater force at bay. When we all thought the Flood was the greatest threat to all sentient life, along comes another even greater evil. Cortana sacrifices her very existence and saves humanity for one last time. As she begins to perish, she asks, Chief, I want to look you in the eyes one last time. Chief takes off his helmet, Cortana fades away, and the credits roll. The only thing that I would add here is that Cortana uses the Guardians and destroys herself and the Guardians in order to destroy this greater evil. And also, yes, I do want to see Chief's face. I think everybody wants to see Chief's face. Halo Combat Evolved came out 20 years ago. It came out in 2001, I'm pretty sure. That's just off the top. I could be wrong. But it has been 2 decades, and we have not seen this guy's face. So even if he just looks like some generic old white dude, I would really like to see what Chief actually looks like. And I've seen a lot of comments that reflect that sentiment. Johnson pops out of nowhere and says, "You miss me?" Chief says, "Johnson, I saw you die on the unfinished Halo. How in the hell did you get away?"
Sorry, Guns. It's classified.
And somewhere in the distance you hear a faint, familiar voice shout,
My ass!
The sexual tension between the Arbiter and Chief ends, and they get married. Again, this is a great contender for the legendary ending right here. If we got a wedding of Arbiter and Master Chief with Cortana as the priest, and we see all of the major characters from the Halo series in the background, in the crowd, in the audience, including all of the enemies and all of the people that we've killed, like the main villains, you know, like Truth and all that shit. And then we just see Noble Six in the back. That would be the greatest gag ending ever. Max channels his inner Neil Druckmann and says Master Chief is about to kill Atriox, but suddenly he spares his life and goes to play the guitar with fewer fingers. I'm just going to read this one verbatim. Mer Chef teams up with the evil brute from the trailer to fight some other third foe. The Arby comes, and thus we have a team with one Spartan, Brute, Elite, and Marine set up to fight the big bad brute from Halo Wars 2 in the sequel, Halo Infinite, the Infiniting. Now this comment does bring up a cool point. I went back and played through Halo 3. I'm making the supercut for it, and I decided that instead of like just getting through the game, that I want to kill everything that I possibly can on Legendary with as few deaths as possible. So I've been grinding out Halo 3 quite a bit over the past week. But to get back to the point, playing on the Covenant and going to the third tower to fight side by side with the Elites is probably one of the coolest moments in the Halo series. You killed these guys in Halo CE and Halo 2 in droves, and now you're fighting side by side with them, teaming up. It's a very cool moment, and I'd like to see something similar happen with a Brute. It would be cool if one of the Brutes is like, I reject the message of the Banished, they want to kill everybody in the galaxy, I've seen the light. Like a Brute with more IQ than lukewarm water, and fighting side by side with Chief, Arbiter, and the pilot. I think that would be a nice addition and would be a good, like, I don't know, mid-game twist. And then that Brute can, you know, die or set up a noble sacrifice, or in fact just live on and ride into the sunset with Chief and a Warthog.
Master Chief. Master Chef.
Another pretty realistic take. After a subpar final battle, we get an unsatisfactory and open-ended ending with him still on the ring because 343 wants to squeeze the game dry through DLC campaigns. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. This is a pretty realistic take. This is probably what we're going to end up getting. But like I said at the beginning, we can hope, we can dream. It's going to be bad. I'm really worried it's going to be bad. The Infinite Havoc gives us a serious take. Halo 5's marketing for the story was a mess to say the least. If the team this time around can completely pull back the chaos of that game's narrative while acknowledging some of the more important points and focus predominantly on the Chief's motivations and what's driving him, then my hope is that they will finally give him a grand send-off or sacrifice moment while trying to save humanity. Only then can we finally treat him as a legend in the lore. His acts have been legendary so far, but he isn't a legend himself until we can finally lay his story to rest. He deserves a grand gesture already. We can still have great Halo games without him in the forefront, but 6+ games in now, and it's just time for him to stop being dragged along. Oh, and what @Tadpole16 said, hopefully with the most insane Warthog run we have ever experienced. It wouldn't be a proper send-off without one of those. I couldn't agree more, and again, I'm going to wait to the end to elaborate on my thoughts and where the Chief should go and what should happen after Halo Infinite. We get to teabag whoever wrote Halo 5's story and then proceed to ride into the sunset with Arby and the Ghost of Johnson. Dr. Mittens, you deserve your PhD, bro. Like, let this man get a PhD from Harvard in writing. Give this dude a PhD in English. Give this dude a PhD in advanced robotics. If I could teabag the guy that wrote Halo 5's story, dude, I wouldn't have to do anything ever again. That would be the peak. Master Chief is sat in a restaurant eating dinner with June and Captain Stacker when an unseen figure walks in. The Master Chief looks up suddenly, black screen, credits. We're really going all the way back to The Sopranos, huh? Still mad about that ending? Yeah, me too, that's fair. And that's what I've got for you all tonight. Some memes, some funny comments, and some serious comments. And nothing but hope and fear, a lot of fear, for the future of the Halo IP and what 343 has done with Halo Infinite and what story they have crafted and are going to put to screen later on this year. I'm hopeful because 343 has taken a step back. They've taken a long reprieve from the Halo series after Halo 5 Guardians was not well received by fans, and they are trying to do better. I have hope that they have found a story that works and that we are going to see some finality in the story of Master Chief and see some finality of the Master Chief saga and this Reclaimer trilogy. However, I'm also fearful, because Halo 5 was absolutely terrible, and Halo 4 was also received in a lukewarm way by most fans. Personally, Halo 4 has grown on me over the years, and I've grown more spiteful and hateful towards Halo 5 Guardians as time has passed. So I'm on the fence of whether or not I am cheering for 343 or just wanting them to run this game into the dirt. That way I don't have to see another one of my childhood heroes get run into the ground. It'll just happen, it'll be over, and at least I'll be able to enjoy 3.5 good Halo games with Master Chief as the front and center character. Regardless though, this is how I would want Halo Infinite to end, and I'll explain a little more about my thought process after I read all this. Chief deals with the Banished leaders about halfway through the game, and then the back half of the game is Chief working with Halsey and the Arbiter to cure Cortana. This cure partially works, but Cortana rejects it and nearly kills Chief and the Arbiter. She has a change of heart though after Chief makes her remember all the times they shared together. A brief montage cues from big character moments between them from previous games, like learning about Halo's true purpose, destabilizing the Autumn, I need to stay here, don't make a girl a promise, you found me, will make it, and no sir. She temporarily agrees to disable the Guardians and lets Halsey come up with an actual cure to reverse her rampancy and extend her life. She's cured and the Guardians are permanently dealt with. She flies them into the sun. I don't care. Get rid of them. I don't really like the Guardians. Arbiter returns home to lead the elites. Chief, with a now cured Cortana, retire. There's a big ceremony where Chief takes off his armor for the last time and we get to see his face. The credits roll. If you beat the game on Legendary, Chief is on the beach in a chair, Cortana next to him, with Chief's helmet in between the two. She reaches over to touch him while he's not paying attention, like she always wanted to, a throwback to Halo 4, and they hold hands. Somewhere in there, it's also revealed that the librarian rewrote Chief's DNA, powering up to unforeseen levels and also extending his life. Locke is demoted to a janitor on the Infinity, where everyone berates him for being stupid enough to interfere with the Master Chief, who is the 3-time savior of humanity, and interfering with his plans. Del Rio is court-martialed. The DLCs should build a new team of Spartans and have some one-off stories with them. The Rookie could be the main character, recruited into the Spartan program by Buck, who decided to start his own Spartan team after seeing Locke fail. Veronica, Buck's love interest, would be the third member, and one of the DLCs will give us a fourth. Adventures, mystery, and jazz ensue. So allow me to elaborate a little bit. First things first, I do not think that Chief or Cortana should die. I think that 343 should subvert our expectations in the same way that like Max Payne 3 subverted our expectations and let our main characters walk away. Let Cortana be brought back to the light side. Remember all the good times they had, all of the great character development that Chief and Cortana have had over the past 20 years in real life time over the course of 6 games. Let her come back and let Chief be able to step away and retire permanently. I think that this would be a good subversion of our expectations, given the fact that 343 does not have the strongest writing team, and it would be good to keep Chief in the back pocket for cameos and maybe show him training other Spartans, or maybe have him not lead missions, but maybe be over the comms on some missions and guide newer Spartans and foster a new team of heroes that we can grow to love. I also think it would be cool if we got to see some one-off stories in the DLC instead of milking Chief. Bringing the Rookie into the Spartan program would be cool, maybe giving him a voice, bringing back Buck, Veronica, maybe bringing in some other side characters and characters from the extended universe would be great avenues to explore. But milking Master Chief for another 10 years is not a good idea. We need finality in this game. We need a conclusion. And to be honest, I'm expecting Chief to die. I'm expecting Chief or Cortana to die. But I prefer it if they don't. A, because I feel like it's a cliche to kill off your main character to make that the finality, some great ultimate noble sacrifice. But also I don't think that 343 B, I don't think that 343 has the writing capabilities to do it right. So I prefer them to just put Chief in the backseat, write him out of the story, let him go to the beach, maybe let him have a family, some kids, maybe he could get with Linda. I don't know. I don't care. The point here is that whatever 343 has cooked up, it better be good. And if it is good, then I'll keep coming back for the DLCs, whether or not Master Chief, the Arbiter, or Cortana are in the forefront. I will play more Halo if you give me more good Halo. What would also be nice about keeping Cortana alive is that you could then copy Cortana and give Cortana the opportunity to have different personalities, different quirks, differences in herself. That way we can still have an AI companion that we can grow to know and love, but we can still set these characters aside and treat them as the legends that they are and the saviors of humanity, saviors of the galaxy, saviors of all life. But again, whatever 343 has done here, it better be good. This time that they have taken to release a 6th game better be worth it. Because if I pay $60 and boot up Halo Infinite and I have to make a Your Game Sucks review on it, I'm not going to be a happy camper. Regardless though, I do have hope. I have fear and I have hope. And I am hoping that 343 has gotten their shit together and is going to give us a conclusive end to this trilogy. Don't leave us on a cliffhanger with the Guardians. Don't bring back some unforeseen foe. Don't end the game on a cliffhanger. Do what Halo 3 did and give us a character and story-driven narrative that is conclusive and wraps up loose ends. and then go from there. To put it simply, all I ask is that whatever you do with these characters, with this IP, and with this last story, all I ask is that you made it count, that you made it good, and that you'll be sending the story out with a bang. We can only wait and see. Let me know in the comments how you would like Halo Infinite to end. Let me know what you would change about my ending. Let me know if you've got any faith in 343 left in you. Have a great day, great night, whatever time of day it is, whatever place of the world you're at. I just hope that you have a good day today, good week, and honestly a good rest of your life. I'll see you in the next one.